Good to see you, my friend. So we're on a Danish bus right now, headed to my sister's place. Now the reason is that when I told my family about my UFO investigation, my sister's boyfriend told me that he knows a UFO enthusiast.
The mainstream scientists, they are too skeptical, I think.
Okay.
They actually shut it down completely.
And not only that, but in fact his two uncles are both pilots, and one of them has seen a UFO. So right now we're going over and we're going to talk to my sister's boyfriend, fiancé, and we're going to ask him about this UFO enthusiast guy. And then later we're going to meet the guy and hopefully meet his uncles as well.
Næste stop, Anholtvej.
Bare sådan 10 minutter eller 5 minutter eller?
Ja, max 10 minutter,
okay.
Tænker jeg.
Ja.
Så hej. Så du har en ven, som er UFO-entusiast. Yes.
Ja.
Så må du lidt fortælle mig lidt om ham.
Ja, og den optager nu, ikke?
Ja,
perfekt.
Yes.
Jamen, det startede sådan set helt fra begyndelsen af, hvor at, jeg boede i sådan en by der, Ullerslev. Og så flyttede han ind sådan huset efter, hvor jeg boede. Og så, så lærte jeg ham egentlig at kende derfra. Okay. Så jeg tror, vi har været venner i 12 år nu.
Så han kommer fra Island?
Ja, han kommer fra Island, ja. Men Sendris lillebror og Sendris lillesøster, de er født her i Danmark.
Okay.
Så det er faktisk kun Sendri, der er født på Island.
Okay.
Men de snakker islandsk til hinanden derhjemme.
Hvor meget fylder det i jeres venskab? Snakker han sådan rigtig meget om UFO'er, hver gang I ses?
Ja, altså det er næsten altid, han snakker om UFO'er.
Okay. Han har jo 2 onkler, siger du, og de er piloter, begge to.
Ja.
Og du siger, at de har set en UFO.
Ja,
eller en
i hvert fald den ene her af dem. Han har set noget uforklarligt, sagde han, da det var, fordi han flyver, eller de begge to flyver passagerfly fra Island og så til Europa. Sådan. Og så den ene der, han sagde, han havde set noget uforklarligt op i luften, som han ikke lige helt vidste, hvad det var.
Okay. Alright, here we are at the station, and we're about to go over to the second largest island in Denmark, which is called Fyn. And that's where we're going to meet this guy called Sindri, Teis' best friend, one of his best friends, or his best friend, and ask him about UFOs. Alright, so here we are in Nyborg. Do you know the feeling of going to a place where you haven't been in a very long time, but where you used to go a lot, and which is connected to some not the best memories you've ever had. Some okay ones, some not bad ones, but overall not the greatest time in your life. That's what this place is. I used to go to high school in this city, and we're about to go meet Sindri. Alright, here we are. This is where Sindri is. Let's go meet Sindri. Det var godt, du blev med os.
Ja.
Så Sindri, godt at møde dig.
Lige med.
Du viser bare, hvor skal vi sætte os hen?
Jamen jeg tænkte,
Er det lige meget? Eller?
der er mange muligheder, der jeg tænker, at jeg sidder sådan her.
Ja, altså jeg tænker, jeg kan sidde her, hvis det er.
Ja.
Jeg sidder der. Why did you become interested in UFOs?
That's a good first question. Well, I mean, I've been interested for as long as I can remember, really. But I really first started digging into the subject a few years ago. There's actually a lot more to it than just some fuzzy videos on the objects in the sky. I haven't done any field research. Mm-hmm. I have done more reading and internet research, for example, Reddit, where there's a lot of info there too.
Yeah.
And you gotta be careful because there is a lot of bullshit out there. Yeah, that's what I found out really quickly. Mm. So you gotta be skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I also found out that the mainstream scientists, they are too skeptical, I think.
Okay.
They actually shut it down completely. Så det er her, hvor jeg sidder og researcher.
Yes.
For eksempel på Reddit. Men det jeg plejer at gøre, det er, at jeg finder en subreddit, som det hedder. Som for eksempel The UFO Reddit. Og så går jeg ind i top, kan man vælge. Og top this week, for eksempel. Ikke? Så kommer der footage, UFO-billeder. Og man skal huske, det kan være fake. Det skal man bare huske. Okay, så, men for eksempel den her, den har man set før. Trekanten, den har faktisk et navn.
Okay.
TR3B.
Okay.
Den er set så ofte, at man har faktisk givet den en navn. Og det er sådan en sort trekant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also actually Spotify, because I've listened to Joe Rogan podcasts as well.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot there.
But you've never seen a UFO, you told me this. But do you know any others other than, of course, we talked about your uncle, who will return to, but do you know anyone else who has seen a UFO?
Besides my uncle, not really, no.
Okay.
And I think part of that is actually kind of sad because people don't really look up. You know, the people that I know, so to speak, don't look up that much. You know what I mean? Like they are busy people. They don't think about these things.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like I also thought about once about this same thing. Like, well, of course we don't see them. Like we're always focusing on going from A to B to C.
Yeah.
And who sits down in the backyard and just like looks up for even half an hour?
Yeah, exactly.
What are the most important pieces of information that you would like to highlight to me?
There are a few notable figures that I've looked into. One of them is Stanton Friedman, and I mention him, and there are others as well. But I mention him because he was a nuclear physicist. I mean, these are credible people. These are scientists. I mean, so like even if you are skeptical, you gotta listen a bit. You know, you gotta pay some attention because there have been serious scientists that have openly discussed UFOs, and that's actually been a big problem. Is it has been very closed, the topic. It's been ridiculed. And the ridicule was very effective, by the way. When you go into the topic with anyone, everyday people, they can shut it down pretty quickly. They don't even know what, the depth of it. So it's very easy for them to just, okay, you believe in green men on Mars, but that's not necessarily what we're talking about here. So I would say, look at the scientists who have talked about this. Stanton Friedman.
I've given more than 700 presentations of an illustrated lecture called Flying Saucers Are Real. It lasts about 90 minutes. I cover 5 large-scale scientific studies that 98% of the people have never heard of. I deal with all aspects of the flying saucer phenomenon.
J. Allen Hynek.
I was scientific consultant to the Air Force for 20 years. In fact, I got into it because I was an astronomer. The Air Force needed an astronomer to weed out the meteors, the twinkling stars, and things like that. And we found that about 30% could be explained that way. And another 50% or so could be explained as aircraft, balloons, and so forth. But there was this hardcore residue of 15 to 20% that just couldn't be explained.
And others,
Okay.
What are the chances that there exists alien life forms out there? There's something called the Drake equation.
Right.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
He set up an equation to calculate what is the likelihood of other species out there that are trying to communicate with us. Right. So you have all these different variables and constants like formation of new stars and which fraction and what fraction of those stars have habitable planets and so on. Right. You don't have to be a crazy conspiracy theorist. You know, you can definitely just look at the science behind what are the chances that there's life out there. There was a number that came out. I think it was they theorized that about 36 civilizations must be within our galaxy, the Milky Way. At least. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know the math behind it exactly, but you know they have done some research on it. Det er bare lige her. Altså det hælder lidt her, men man kunne sagtens sætte den op her, for eksempel. Kommer lys ind her igennem. Det er her, du får dine detaljeoplysninger fra månen eller en stjerne. Man kan tage det her af. Den her bruger man jo til at sådan target lock, kalder man det, sådan på at finde sit mål, om det er månen eller en planet eller whatever. Og så er der den her, som man egentlig kigger igennem. Den åbner man her. Sådan der. Og så kan man putte ting på linsen i her. Den her hedder Super 25, Super 25. Det er long eye relief. Den er mere til bredere, hvad siger man, sådan wider angle. Så den bruger jeg tit, hvis det er munden. Især. Den er rigtig god til munden. Det er den, dit billede, du har set, som Teis tog, og som jeg har også taget et par billeder af. Teis' billeder blev faktisk meget bedre end mine.
Okay.
Og det er mest fordi min mobil, den er ret gammel. Jeg skal have en ny mobil snart, så jeg kan tage nogle bedre billeder.
Hvad er det for en, du har, mobilen?
Samsung Galaxy J5.
J5, okay.
Ja, meget gammel.
Meget gammel, okay.
Ja. Men den holder stadig, altså det virker stadig.
Ja.
Så. Men ja, så gør man sådan, sætter den i her. Så skal jeg lige skrue op på den her. Sådan der. Så skruer man dem her i igen, bare en lille smule. Sådan der. Og når man så kigger, så skruer man på de her, for at få fokus. Fordi du ved, når man kigger måske første gang, så er det meget sløret, og så skruer man på dem, og så kommer det i fokus. Ja. Det plejer at være sådan halvvejs, at det kommer i fokus med den her. På munden, sådan cirka der omkring.
Have you ever used the telescope to try to spot UFOs?
Actually, no. But that's because that would be very difficult.
Right.
All right. It's telescopes are very narrow. You can put a lens on that gives a more broad picture. And especially with the moon, if I wanted to look for UFOs, I would actually just look at the moon, because the moon is a surface, has a surface that reflects light, and you can actually see shadows and things passing in front of it. If I was just staring into blank space, I wouldn't be able to see it, because I need light to reflect, or shadows or such. Okay. So. Det som mig og Teis har gjort indtil videre, det er jo bare meget basic, kan man sige. Det er, vi satte mobilen sådan her, bogstaveligt talt, til, du ved, og prøvede at holde den her, mobilen, og så tryk. Det er så meget amatøragtigt, kan man sige. Men altså,
Men det virker.
Det virker. Men det man kan gøre, det er jo at få et ordentligt kamera, du ved, som man monterer til sådan en. Og især nogle andre stjernekikkerter, de er mere tilpasset for, at man kan gøre det. Ikke? Så one thing you can do, which I've seen people begin to do, is use an infrared camera.
All right.
Because just with a broad view, and just let it sit and stare at the sky, maybe record it. Because you can get some really good stuff with that, because there's a serious contrast to the open space. So if something goes past, it shines up like a star. And you can see shapes, and you can definitely find videos like that on the internet. What the fuck is that thing? Wow. Holy shit. Holy shit. My telescope is not the best for extensions and such. But there are telescopes that where you can add cameras, and there are even settings to track objects and such.
So maybe you should upgrade once you...
just need a bit more funding.
What was I going to ask? And so the moon thing, do you do that sometimes? Trying to catch some reflections on the moon?
I can get pretty good detail. but I haven't really caught anything yet.
Right.
But trust me, there are people out there who have better telescopes than I do, and they watch the moon adamantly.
Right.
They watch it, and they record it as well, and store this video footage, and I guess that's their hobby. I mean, they find good stuff, you know. They find shadows. They find. There was one guy on YouTube who found some really weird stuff, where it's called the lunar wave, and it appears to be like a hologram, as if a wave moves up through the moon. And I don't think anyone has recorded it since, but I mean, just that piece of data is just.
Yeah, can you send me the link to that?
I can do
Thank
that.
you.
Men jeg synes bare, det er fedt. Det er sådan at give lidt tilbage til UFO-samfundet. Altså. Det synes jeg er mega spændende.
Er det her marginerne?
Nej, det går. Det går.
Do you have any plans in terms of how you want to continue your own research?
Yeah, well, right now I'm studying to become a primary school teacher in science.
Right.
And I was thinking the most important thing would be for me to teach others to be open-minded at least.
Right.
You know, at the very least, be open-minded about the subject.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge step forward.
Right.
But yeah, I would always continue to do my own research.
But okay, so that's interesting. So you basically kind of plan on kind of introducing this into the curriculum in a way, kind of.
Yeah, I gotta be careful there. Because all of a sudden, you know, I'm there with tinfoil hat on and and telling my students that we're not alone. But I mean, well, it depends on how I choose to spin the story.
Yeah.
To say that we are not likely to be alone, that's actually not unscientific. You know, that's not a wrong thing to teach.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just gotta be careful what I do say. You know, that there are you know, a lot of people they seem to know it all.
Yeah.
Some individuals out there, they have too many details.
Yeah.
You know, they say I met this alien from this particular star system.
Yeah.
You gotta be skeptical there.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna delve into that. More into focus on the science and what is possible. Yeah.
But I had this question, whether you ever personally get ridiculed when you bring this up. Because I mean, Teis told me that you like to talk about it and you're passionate about it. So you're definitely not a closet UFO guy, you know, who like keeps it to himself. So how do people react? Is it always ridicule, or do they take you seriously for the most part, or?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not conservative in the area, but I don't talk about it with everyone.
Right.
I sort of talk about it with, you know, friends and family, and if there is an occasion, I will definitely bring it up. But I mean, my friends and family, at first they were laughing and thinking, you know, what is he talking about?
Yeah, right.
You know, but I think they've gotten used to it by now. Yeah, so maybe I talk a bit too much sometimes, so they actually just get tired at this point. So I maybe need a new audience. So this is perfect. Opportunity for that. And but you know, I don't take offense. I know it's been ridiculed for a long time, so I just kind of embrace it.
So about your uncle, I wanted to ask you, would it be possible, because I would really like to interview him as well, if it's possible, and ask him about this one. It was one instance, right, when he saw something unknown.
Yeah.
Do you think, would it be possible for me to meet him in some way, do you think?
It's possible, although I don't think it's very likely.
Okay.
Yeah, just because, well, he is interested in conspiracy theories,
Okay.
but I don't think he has delved into this topic. So, when I mentioned him, it was just because I had called him once and asked him if he had seen anything, because I was curious. And he did mention this one time, and he didn't go into much detail, but he did say that there was something he remembered seeing while he was flying, which he couldn't explain, and which was an anomaly, I guess you can say. I think I remember him saying it was moving quickly and it was bright.
Okay.
Right. And that's actually pretty typical for the UFO phenomenon. That's actually most cases people describe such things. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think there's much more to it, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Nu er det lidt for varmt, men normalt så har jeg den her på.
Ah, fedt.
NASA.
Fedt. Fedt.
Og NASA, dem kan jeg snakke meget længe om, men basically, det er ikke altid sandheden, der kommer ud hos dem. Lad os sige det sådan.
Okay.
Ja. For eksempel, når de er ude og lave spacewalk, så livestreamer de faktisk. Og der har været mange gange, hvor der kom et eller andet, der fløj ind forbi, sådan ind i shottet, og så kan man faktisk se astronauten gøre sådan her. Og blokere view for de ting, der kommer. Altså simpelthen bare sådan, så snart der kommer ind i shottet, kan man bare se, at han gør sådan der. Hvad er det for noget? Ikke? Og så nogle gange, så cutter de bare feedet, hvis der er et eller andet spændende. Selv på den der drone på Mars, der har der været gange, hvor den fandt et eller andet, og så cutter feedet. Så, ja.
Alright, my friend, so that was an interesting first interview, I think. A good introduction. So I did ask Sindri after the interview to call his uncle up and just make sure if he's not interested in giving an interview after all about the UFO that he saw. But unfortunately, he was not interested. So that story about his uncle seeing a UFO, we could only get this far. As for the lunar wave that we saw, I saw a comment under that video where somebody actually said that it might just be an artifact of the camera. So there might not actually be a wave going on the surface, moving on the surface of the moon. It might have something to do with the refresh rate or something like that of the actual camera recording the moon. But interesting interview. I'm glad you're along for this journey, my friend. And I have a very interesting interview in the next episode. In the meantime, you can visit thenonfictionway.com, where I will be soon posting some blog posts on this topic. Of course, it's a very new website. I just started developing it, but there should be stuff showing up there soon. Alright, my friend, keep living the non-fiction way of life, and I will see you in the next one.